How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Uncoder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. As always, if you guys do want access to the private repository, there is a link in the description down below that'll walk you through exactly how to get access to that. And with that being said, what we're going to be working on today is we'll be working on the pop-up once again. We want to be able to make this top part sticky. We're also going to go ahead and work on the bottom part where you can go ahead and type in. It's a lot of work, so that's what all we're going to be working on today. And the next episode, hopefully we can get to the point where we're almost ready to actually send messages, receive them on the back end, and then send them to the next person. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the code and get to work here. So as I mentioned, we're going to be working in the pop-up primarily. So we're going to go into our source, features, and messaging, and then components. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to go into the messages bar.css and actually make it so it's sticky to the top. We also probably want to go ahead and make some conversations to actually test this. So really quickly, let's just go ahead and do the CSS. It's really quick. So what we want to go ahead and do is in here, we're going to go ahead and go underneath our border bottom right radius. We're going to go ahead and put in a position of sticky, and then we're also going to go ahead and say top of 0. So now whenever we go ahead and scroll, it's going to stick to the top instead of scrolling with all the other stuff. And then before we get into the thick of it, we need to make some modifications to the messages pop-up. I'm going to go ahead and hop over to Postman and make some conversations. I'm not going to show you guys, you've seen it about 5 times now, and I'll be back into the front end with you guys after that. All right, I got all of our conversations set up. Now let's go ahead and go into the messages pop-up component. We have some work to do in there. So now we're going to start calculating the height inside of here rather than inside of the CSS. Just going to clean up this class here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is underneath our message state, let's go ahead and make a use state. We're going to say const, and we're going to go ahead and say height. And set height is going to be equal to use state. Let's go and bring in use state. This is going to be a string. And to start out, we're going to start out as 50px because that's the close height. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to set up a new use effect that watches whenever the message pop-up opens. So use effect like so, and then we're going to go ahead and watch message state dot pop-up open. So if the pop-up's open, we want to go ahead and change it, and then if it closes again, we want changes, we're going to say if, and then message state, dot pop-up opened. If this is the case, we're going to go ahead and say set height, and we're going to go ahead and set it to 480px. Otherwise, we're going to set to 50px. Excuse me one moment, I need to clear my throat out here. All right, now that we have that, we can go ahead and clean up this messages pop-up style here. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this class with the message open and message close. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit, and then here we're going to go ahead and say style equal to, and then we're going to say height like so, and then we'll go ahead and bring in the height. And now I need to go ahead and just clean up the CSS a little bit. So let's go to the messages pop-up CSS, and now in here what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and get rid of the messages closed and messages open. We no longer need that. And then inside of our messages pop-up content, we're going to go ahead and add in a min height, and the min height is going to be 375px. And then we're also going to go ahead and add in our overflow y once again, and this is going to be set to scroll. And the reason that we're doing it this way is because we don't want the create message part to be part of the scroll. We want outside of it. So we're making only the content scroll rather than the entire pop-up scroll. So that should be good to go. Now we can go ahead and start getting into like the thick of things. We can start working on the create messages bar component, which is going to be primarily most of the episode. So let's go ahead and open up our Explorer. We go into our components. We go ahead and say create messages bar, and actually I don't want messages, I just want message, and then create message bar.tsx. Go ahead and create message bar.css, and then let's go ahead and hop into this. So this is going to be kind of similar to our other like create message text inputs and stuff like that. We're going to have to do some magic to make it work properly. Also, we need to go ahead and style it so to actually work for emoji. So that's also going to be a challenge. So that's why this component is going to take a little bit longer to set up. So let's stop yapping and get into it. So we're going to go ahead and import React from, React, and we probably need to import a couple other things as we get going, but I'm just going to worry about that for now. We'll export const and then create message maybe, and then bar. Oh my goodness, this will be a react.fc and then go ahead and make an arrow function. It doesn't need to take anything in. We'll say const, we're going to set up some state. We're going to show active, actually not active, actions, and then set show actions. And you'll see what this looks like in a little bit is equal to use state. Go ahead and bring in use state, and this will be a Boolean. And we'll start out as true on this one. We'll also have const and then message content and set message content. We could have called this like message text or something else, but it's fine. Use state of a string, and of course this will just start out as an empty string. Next we'll go ahead and set up a ref. So this could be called text area ref equal to use ref. Like I said, we're going to be copying some stuff from the text area, except this one needs to be slightly different, so that's why we're doing it differently. So text area element like so, and then this will start out as null. And then I'm going to go ahead and skip over all of the different functions for now. Actually, no, we'll go ahead and do the function. So we'll say const and then calculate and then line height is equal to an arrow function. So this is going to go ahead and calculate how tall our text input should be. So I'm going to say if text area ref and text area maybe ref dot current. So if it's there, we're going to go ahead and say let line height equal to 24 like so. We're going to say text area ref dot current, and then dot style dot line height will be equal to backticks and then $ curly brace line height and then px. After this we'll say text area ref dot current and then dot style dot height. We'll also go ahead and set this to 24 px by default, which doesn't even actually set to 24 px, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but it is what it is. We're going to say let line number is equal to text area ref dot current dot scroll height divided by the line height. So how many lines do we have? We're going to go ahead and take that and say text area ref dot current dot style dot height is equal to line number times and then line height, and then we're going to go ahead and add px at the end of it. All right, so that's going to go ahead and set how tall our text area is. There's other ways to do this, but this one seemed to work the best for this one. Go ahead and say const handle text change is equal to an e react.keyboard event on an HTML, and this will be a text area element like so. And then let's go ahead and make our arrow function. We're going to go ahead and calculate our line height, and then we'll also go ahead and set the message content to e.target.value. There we go. So then we'll go ahead and set the content and see how tall it needs to be as we're texting, as we're not texting, as we're typing, and then we'll say const and then focus on text. Now this one, I'm not sure if we 100% need. It was being a little bit wonky, so I went ahead and added it anyway. So we'll just go ahead and say if our text area ref and our text area ref dot current, maybe if that's the case, we're going to say text area ref dot current dot focus. We're going to go ahead and focus on the text area so we can type on it. It was being a little bit strange to me, so I'm going to make it easy on ourselves to focus. And finally, we'll have a use effect, because we also want to basically recalculate the height whenever we unfocus from the text area. So we're going to go ahead and say show actions. The actions will be shown whenever we're not typing, and they'll be hidden when we are typing. So whenever we change from typing to not typing, we want to go ahead and recalculate how tall it is. We'll go ahead and say calculate line height in here anytime that changes, like so. Let's go ahead and bring in our use effect, and then let's go ahead and set up our return. So return, we'll have a div with a class name equal to create message bar, and this is going to get pretty crazy pretty quickly here. Hopefully it's not too bad. We'll have a div with a class name equal to create message bar, and this is going to be BG. I don't know why they have it set up this way. It is what it is. Inside here, we're going to go ahead and set up some curly braces. We're going to say show actions. And if we are going to show the actions over div, the class name equal to create message bar, and then action wrapper. And I believe even if we don't have actions, we're still going to show this. Oh, no, actually we're not. If we don't have them, we're going to go ahead and say div class name equal to create message bar. And this one's just going to be an icon wrapper. So we're going to either have a group of icons or one single icon. I could have called this icon group, but it is what it is. So here we're going to say div class name equal to create message bar and then icon wrapper. And then inside of our icon wrapper, we're going to first start out with a media SVG. This is going to have a height equal to 20. It'll have a width equal to 20. It'll have a color of, and then we're going to say RGB, and this is going to be 29, 155, 240. And then I'm going to cheat, and I'm literally just going to copy this entire create message icon bar. I'm going to go ahead and paste it 2 more times. So let's go ahead and copy paste this. So paste it, go ahead and do that, and then paste it again, and then go ahead and format it. So now instead of media SVG, we're going to go ahead and delete this. We're going to say GIF FVG, and then below our GIF FVG, we're going to go ahead and have an emoji SVG. Go ahead and delete that. There we go. That's good to go. And then below there, inside of this icon wrapper, we're going to go ahead and import an arrow forward. And this is going to be iOS, and this is coming from Material UI. SX is going to equal to height of 20px. We'll have a width of 20px, and we will have a color of, you guessed it, RGB, and then this will be 29155 240, and let's go ahead and close this out. So this is going to be kind of like the left side of the screen where we have our either our actions, or we'll be able to go ahead and select whatever else. And I don't know why this is complaining. I'll just give it a second and see if it sorts itself out. For whatever reason, it always has a bad time. There we go, doing this. So that's kind of like the simple part. Now outside of this, we're going to have a div, the class name equal to, and this will be create and message bar dash text area. And then this part is going to get a little bit fun, a little bit gross, but at least this is kind of like the end of it. So we're going to have our text area, and inside of our text area, we're going to have a class name equal to, and inside here, we're going to go ahead and say create message bar text area input. And then we're going to have $ curly brace, show actions, question mark. If that's the case, we're going to go ahead and have a create message bar and then text input deactive. And then we'll go ahead and do one of these to make it look pretty. Otherwise, we're going to have create message bar text input active. And let's make sure that is fine with that. It's just mad because we don't close off this. Cool. Okay, that's like the most like prone to messing up part. And let's see what's going on here. Let's fix this like that. Cool. And then after that, we'll have a placeholder equal to, and this will be start a new message. After that, we'll have our ref is equal to text area ref. After that, we'll have our on change, which will be equal to handle text change. We will have an on focus. On focus is just going to be an arrow function. Whoops, maybe. It'll be an arrow function, which is just going to go ahead and set show actions to false. And then on blur, so whenever we click off of it, will equal to another arrow function. And this one's going to do the opposite. So this will be set show actions to true. And then finally, we're going to have our value. The value will equal to, and then message content. So the last thing to do is outside of our message like text area div, we need to go ahead and add one more div, the class name equal to, and this one we need to also do one of these backticks, create message bar, send icon. So this one has to be slightly different, and that's why we're doing it this way. $sign, curly brace, message content not equal to an empty string, question mark. If that's the case, we'll say send icon active. And then otherwise, we'll just have empty. And then we need to go ahead and set up this SVG first. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. And then we'll bring it in here. Let's go ahead and fix this up. So there we go. So we're looking decently good on time here. We do have a lot of CSS to do, and we still have a little bit of work to do in here. But now what we need to go and do is we need to go ahead and set up the SVG that goes inside of the send icon, and we also need to set up some stuff to handle emojis just so we're on top of the curve here. So let's go ahead and say space E. Let's go into our components and our SVGs, and let's go ahead and just create a send message svg.tsx. Let's go and hop in here. Let's go ahead and import our SVG props. And then let's go ahead and set up our export default function, maybe. And this will be called send message SVG. This will take in our props, which are SVG props, and then let's go ahead and return, and I'll show you guys where to get this from. So over here on Twitter, I just have like my dummy account that I created to do some testing and stuff. Let's go ahead and grab this SVG. I'm gonna go ahead and copy the element, and let's get this out of the way. Let's go ahead and paste this in here, and now let me go ahead and clean this up for y'all really quick. All right, our SVG is looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and put those props to use. We'll go ahead and say that the height is equal to props.height. We'll say that our width is equal to props.width. And we'll also go ahead and say that the fill is equal to props.color, question mark, and this will be props.color. Otherwise, it'll be #000. So that guy is good to go. Let's go ahead and hop into our component we are working on and put this back in there. So now down here, let's go ahead and get rid of that. We can go ahead and say send message SVG, and here our height will equal to 20px, our width will equal to 20, and then we will have our color equal to, and we're gonna have message content not equal to empty quotes, basically, question mark. Then it'll be RGB, and then 29, 155, 240. Otherwise, it's still going to be RGBA, and this will be 29, 155, 240, 0.5. So then it's going to be kind of see-through. So if we have not typed inside of our message, we won't be able to send the message. It'll look like it's deactive. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and do full brightness and be able to hover and all that stuff. Obviously, that CSS will have to write in a little bit. So now the last thing that we need to do to kind of get this all set up is we do need to do like the overlay like we did inside of the create posts and stuff. But to do that, we also need to go ahead and set it up so that emojis get shown properly instead of kind of whatever system you're using. So let's go into the emoji utils and create a new function to go ahead and take the message content with any emojis inside of it and then turn it into pictures of the emojis and then spans of the text. So inside of our emoji utils, I'm just going to go ahead and scroll to the bottom, and there's still a bunch of stuff we need to get rid of, but it is what it is. So we're going to go ahead and say export const and then convert elements to message text. So kind of like we did above for notifications, because it's slightly different. Go ahead and say elements, or if I could type elements, rjsx dot elements array, and this is going to go ahead and return JSX element array, but I forgot to put that there, but it's fine. We're going to go ahead and return elements dot map, and then we're going to go ahead and map each element. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and say if our element dot type is equal to img. So if it's an image, we're going to go ahead and say element is equal to ... element, and we're going to go ahead and say props are equal to ... element dot props, and then we're just going to go ahead and change the class name. So class name will be equal to message dash text emoji. Cool. Emoji, there we go. And then otherwise we'll say element is equal to element. We'll go ahead and say props are equal to element dot props, and then class name is equal to message dash text. That was a good chance I screw something up here. And now what we need to go ahead and do is, after all of this, we need to go ahead and return the element. So we're going to go ahead and basically update the element and then remap it to have a specific class that we need. So now that we've done this, we can actually go ahead and bring this in to our create message bar and get it to work. So let's go into a create message bar again. Inside of our create message bar, we need to go ahead and set up a quick function. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this under our handled text change. So say const text content is equal to, I'm just going to return JSX dot elements array. And then let's go ahead and set up our arrow function. And then here we'll say let our post content equal to convert. And then this would be post content to elements. And thinking about it, I probably could have went ahead and did this inside of the emoji thing, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and throw post in there. And then we'll go ahead and say let our message elements equal to convert elements to message text, and we'll go ahead and pass it in our post content. So I probably could have done this part of the step inside the emoji util, but it is what it is. Then we'll go ahead and return our message elements. And I did it this way just in case we do it with the map or do anything else. So now that that's done, we can come down here just above our text area. And then what we're going to want to go ahead and do is we're going to say message content not equal to an empty string again. And this is kind of what we do inside of our post and stuff. We'll say div class name equal to create message bar text area content, and then we're gonna have an on click on this equal to, and this will be on our focus on text. And then inside here, clean this up. Inside here, we'll have curly braces, content text. Actually, it's text content. I did it wrong. Text content. And go like that. So that is the component done. Now we're obviously gonna need to do more work to be able to click on media, GIF, emoji, all that stuff, but that's not gonna fit in this episode. And there's gonna be a lot of refactoring to some of that stuff, so that's also why it's not gonna fit in this episode. But what we can go ahead and do is hop into our create message bar and add this in, and then style this up and make sure it looks good. So let's go into our messages pop-up component. And now what we wanna go ahead and do, this part, we wanna make sure we put out the right area. So let's see here. I have it on line 55 in my original code, but I think some stuff is off here. So I'm trying to see exactly where I want it. Let me double check my GitHub really quick, because it's very important that I put this in the right location. We want it just below here. So we're going to go ahead and say message state dot conversation open and message state dot popup. Oops, popup open, and then we're going to go ahead and pass in here. So now we'll go ahead and say create message bar. I don't know why it's not showing up. There we go. That's good to go, and save it. So now if we go ahead and take a look, we're not going to see too much. It's going to be pretty ugly, but we should at least hopefully see a message bar in there. So let's open up the front end and just see what it looks like. So we don't see anything right now. That's because we haven't actually clicked on them. So now if you click on it, you can see we have all of this stuff. We have our thing here. If we type in here, it gets different, and then you can also see that it's basically duplicating what's going on here. We just need to go ahead and style it. We close out of it, these pop back up, and the CSS will be able to kind of hover over these and whatnot. So let's go ahead and hop into CSS. We're making pretty decent time here. As long as I didn't break anything with setting all the CSS up, everything should look good, and we should be out of here before an hour. So let's hop into our CSS, get this styled, and get on the road. So like I mentioned, let's hop into our create message bar CSS. Something else I want to do is I want to make sure I actually imported the CSS, because I don't think I did. So we'll come back and do that. But we'll start out with create message dash bar. And here we'll have a width of 100%. Pretty self-explanatory. We're going to have a height, maybe, of fit dash content, because as we type, it's going to expand. We'll border on the top of 1px solid, and this one is a little bit lighter, so we're going to go AAB8 and then C2. We're going to have padding of 4px 12px. This one is stolen straight from Twitter. Position will be sticky on this guy, and it's going to stick to the bottom, so bottom 0. Then we'll have dot create message bar dash bg. And here we'll have padding of about 8px. We're going to have width of 100%. We'll have height of 100% of the parent. We'll have a background dash color of our very light gray. So this would be E1, E8, and then ED. We'll have a border, of none. And we're going to have a border dash radius of about 14px. And then a display of flex, a justify content, space between, and then we'll also have align items in the center. Next we have create dash message dash bar, and then action wrapper. I could have called this action group, it is what it is. Height is going to stick to 100%. We're going to have a display of flex. We're going to have an align items in the center. There's going to have a small gap of 2px because whenever we add the background on there, it's going to go ahead and space it out for us. We'll have a create dash message bar and then icon wrapper. And here we'll have height will be 32px. We'll have width of 32px, display of flex, justify content in the center, align our items in the center, maybe. If I stop breaking things, align items in the center, have a border of none, and then we'll have a border radius of 100%. Next we'll have our dot create, dash message, dash bar, and then icon wrapper hover. In here we'll have a cursor, a pointer, and then a background dash color. I cannot type this morning, I'm sorry guys, RGBA, and this will be 29, 155, 240, and then 0.2. I like 0.2 on this one a little bit better than 0.1 for the blue. Now we get into the fun part of dealing with the text area. So dot create message bar text area, we'll have a position of relative. We're going to have a display of flex. We'll justify content in the flex start position, flex start, and then we'll also go ahead and align items in the center. Next we'll create message dash message dash bar dash text dash area dash content, and here we'll say position is absolute. We're going to go ahead and say z index is 10. We're going to have padding on the top, padding dash top of 2px, and we'll padding dash left of about 2px, and this is just kind of what makes it look good stacked on top of one another and lining everything up. Height will be fit dash content. Next we have our dot message dash text. We're setting this inside of that text content that we set up function basically. So here font dash size will be 15px. We'll font dash weight of 500. Color will be black. And then we'll have padding of 0, margin maybe of 0, and finally we'll have line dash height, which is important, of 24px because we need to go ahead and line up with everything else. Next we'll say dot message dash text dash emoji. In here we're going to have height of 15px, of width of 15px, we have a margin of 0. I don't think we need margin padding on this, but I add it anyway. Padding of 0, margin dash left of about 3px, and margin dash right of about 3px. And this is just because it's an image, we need to add some space to make sure everything lines up properly with the actual emoji underneath. We're getting close to the end here. Now we have our dot create dash message bar maybe dash and then text area input. So here's our actual input. So height, once again, we'll set to 24px. This will get overridden. Resize will be none. So we don't want to see the resize icon. Overflow, whoops. Overflow will be hidden. Not sure if this is actually needed, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and set the font size to the same size as our other one. So that'll be 15px. We're going to have a border none on this. We're going to have a background color. So background color of transparent. We're going to have a font weight of 500. Just to match everything up. We're going to have a color of transparent because we don't want to see it. Z index. And this isn't even working of 100 because we want to be able to click on it through the thing, but I realized it wasn't even working anyway. And then caret color will be black. And then we need to say create dash message bar text area inputs colon selection. Again, this one wasn't really working either, but this will be a background color of RGBA, and then this is going to be 51, 153, 255, and then 0.4. This is supposed to be like when you highlight, and then color will be transparent, so you can't see the double text through it. Basically, of a dot create message bar text area input focus. So whenever we click on it, focus, there we go. This will be outline of none because we don't want to see that ugly outline. And then dot create dash message bar text area input placeholder. The placeholder, we're going to go ahead and say color of pound 657786. Almost done, I promise, and then we'll have to probably debug a million things. So next we'll create, whoops, maybe create dash message dash bar dash, and then this will be text input dash active. So if we're active, the width will be 300px of our dot create dash message dash bar dash text area, and then deactive, and this will be a width of 190px. And we have our dot create message bar and then send icon. This is very similar to the icon stuff above, with 32px, height 32px, display of flex, justify content in the center, and then align items in the center. We'll have a border of none, but a border dash radius of 100%. And then finally dot send icon, and then whoops, active. I'm going crazy, and then hover, and then we'll have our cursor pointer, and we'll have a background dash color RGBA, and then 29, 155, 240, and then 0.02, like that. All right, so there we go. That is everything set up. I spelled background color wrong here. We're pushing 40 minutes again. I need to get these down to a little bit shorter. Let's hop back into the TSX because I'm pretty sure I forgot to import the CSS. Let's go back to the top of this guy and import the CSS. Definitely forgot. So import / create message bar.css, and as long as I put everything in the right locations and I named all of the CSS right, this should be good to go. So let's hop into the front end and take a look, and there we go. It does look slightly off, so I'm wondering if I did miss one thing here or rename something incorrectly, because it does seem like it's a little bit high. Let's just take a look at this, because there should be some space in between these. So I'm wondering if I messed up some CSS somewhere. Yes, I definitely didn't put something in the right position because this part is supposed to be below the scroll bar. So let me double check this. So back in our messages pop-up, I believe this one should actually be maybe below this guy. Let's go ahead and format that and take a look now. There we go. That looks much better. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. So this is how it should look. We have a little bit of space here. and then we can have our message right here. We can go ahead and type in this, typing in here. It was working somewhat well the other day, as you can see. We can even put emojis. Let me go and track down an emoji. Let us copy the smiley face emoji and then paste it in here. You can see the emojis in there. Everything looks good. And then if we hit off of it, it goes ahead and resizes it. Now, obviously, we need a way to be able to click on this. And then we need to be able to open up the emojis. We need to be able to add GIF, all of that stuff. So that's what I want to work on next episode, is being able to open up this stuff and then maybe be able to figure out everything that could possibly go inside of a message. That way, the next episode after that, or maybe even like 2 episodes, whatever, we can go ahead and work on sending the message to the back end, send them across everywhere, and then fingers crossed to be basically done with the messages. So with that being said, I appreciate you all for watching. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. And if you do want to see where we start from absolute nothing, get to the point we are now, there will be a playlist at the end of the video. I'll try to go ahead and remember to put it on the ending card for you guys. But as always, guys, this has been Ethan on Coder. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.